Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I'm doing a sketchbook tour. This is a sketchbook I purchased from Etsy. It's a shop called Lavender Green. It ships from the United Kingdom. This is a stitched, it's the Cotty watercolor paper in 320 grams. I will link my review of that paper and all the products I used to create these watercolors. The majority of them, I used my Hodrum Aquarelle Schminke set of 36. I also used Faber-Castell Polychromos to assist, and for some of the eyes, I used, for like the pupils and things, the Sakura Jelly Roll pen, the white ink, to help me out. So in no way is this a traditional watercolor sketchbook tour. This is more kind of mixed media with the bulk of the birds being watercolor. So let's get started. One thing I also want to say is some of these birds are national birds and some of them are just birds I wanted to paint. So this is kind of haphazard all over the place. So for the end papers, I gave the birds branches to make sure they clear. There's a stamp here and there's an emboss on the last page. This is a barn swallow. This is the national bird of Austria. This is a muted swan. This is the national bird of Denmark. This is a crow. This is a duck. Here is an emu. This is the national bird of Australia. Here is a toucan, and as you can see, I kind of have facial portraits on the left and kind of full bodies on the right, and I continue that theme through this sketchbook. Here is a vulture, a young one, on the left. This is a pelican. Here is a scarlet macaw, that is the national bird of Honduras. Here is a kiwi, this is the national bird of New Zealand. And I did take creative liberties in stylizing these birds and making their colors a little bit different. Here is a golden eagle. This is the national bird of Serbia. Here is a chicken. I just really wanted to paint a chicken. Here is an ostrich. Here is a European robin. This is the national bird of the United Kingdom. This is a cassowary. This is a lilac-breasted roller. This is the national bird of Kenya. Let's see if I can turn this page. Here is a red-tailed hawk. Here is a piping plover. Here is a shoebird. Here is a red-crested turcow. This is the national bird of Angola. Here is a fish owl. And I do have some dust in here apparently already. And here is a common kingfisher, and this is the national bird of the Czech Republic. Here is an Indian peacock. This is the national bird of India. This is a brown-throated parakeet. This is the national bird of Aruba. Here is a kestrel. This is the national bird of Belgium. Here's a flamingo. This is the national bird of the Bahamas. And I had some parchment because they were sticky, but I believe they should be dry by now. Here is a hoopoe. This is the national bird of Israel. And this is a scarlet ibis. This is the national bird of Trinidad and Tobago. Here is a St. Vincent parrot. This is the national bird of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Here is a black-necked stork. There are a bunch of storks that are national birds, but I just really like this one the best. Here's a raven. This is the national bird of Bhutan. And here is a blue-footed booby. They also come in red feet. And I believe there's one with yellow and one that's masked of these birds. But my favorite color is blue, so I had to go with the one with the blue feet. Here's an Anna's hummingbird. Here is a golden finch. Here is a crowned crane. This is the national bird of Uganda. This is a hoatzin. This is the national bird of Guyana. Here's a pheasant. Here is a hooded mountain tanager. Here's a javelin hawk eagle. This is the national bird of Indonesia. And again, I took some color liberties. This bird is infinitely more brown. And this is a Eurasian oyster catcher. This is the national bird of the Faroe Islands. This is a peregrine falcon, and here is the other end paper. This is an oriole. The peregrine falcon is the national bird of the United Arab Emirates. So, in doing all this, this took me, there's 20 pages front and back, and the two end papers, it took me 42 days. I did one a day. The ostrich is my absolute favorite. I have a thing for birds and beasts and folks with fur and feathers going every direction. It just makes me giggle and makes me so happy. These ranged anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Again, I'm doing this in case folks are watching this way later. This was done through the entire month of December and into January, and I am in the Northern Hemisphere, so drawing time was a lot between layers and making sure that things I wanted to bleed into each other did because they were wet, and things I didn't want to bleed, I needed them to dry very specifically so I could do that. Like, this is just a feather effect of wet on wet. But for things like this, I needed the pink to be completely dry before I could add the black so they didn't bleed or run together. Some of these birds I've seen in person. I saw this one at a zoo. It is unreal how bright the scarlet ibis is. And if you're interested in ancient Egypt, the ibis was one of the hieroglyphics, so it's a really cool bird. Some of these birds, because I chose to do them this way, you don't get to see all their feathers. The St. Vincent parrot looks amazing from the side. I didn't really do any side views. It's kind of them posing for a picture in my sketchbook. It was a design choice. So because of that, I also didn't do birds with wild tail feathers because you can't see them. They would just hang off the page. Like the resplendent quetzal, that green bird I did in one of my Plan With Me's, and I'll link that one below. It has a very, very long tail feather, and that would have just gone off the page. This is another one, the hoatzin, that looks amazing from the side with all the different layers of feathers, and yeah, it's just really, really cool. But this is how I chose to do this one. There are other ways something like this could be done. Every bird could have been a national bird. You could have started with one specific color and done all the birds of that color and have it sort of fade into another set of colors. Like your birds could have been red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. There obviously are a lot of brown birds that are beautiful. I did use references for some of these. I have never seen most of these birds in my life. This one, the red crest, no, which one is this one? This bird right here, yeah, the red-crested turcow from Angola. The thing with this bird is every time I went to look at a reference, all the eye colors were a different color. So people had photoshopped or dropped the photo in Lightroom and edited the eye so the eye wasn't red, and I really wasn't sure what color their eye was, and I had to Google what color is a red-crested turcow's eye to make sure that it was in fact red, because some people had altered that, and I wanted to make sure I was doing that correctly. For things like the plover, there are a bunch of birds that are really white, and I just went in with complementary colors, sort of orange and blue. I did that here. This is sort of blue and potter's pink, and there's a little bit of blue and potter's pink, just for complementary color, it gives your eye visually something to look at. Otherwise, it can be very boring, say, compared to a bird like this. But yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun doing these. And I highlighted with some of the Helios blue just to put some other colors in here. This is Prussian green and potter's pink. So I was definitely playing with colors and trying to experiment. So crows are black feathers, but I added blue and pink. I hope this was interesting. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.